Sure.
Everyone, this is Firdaus and Tushar from the Alumni Outreach Committee of Department of Electrical Engineering, and we welcome you all to the second episode of Alumni Podcast series. In this series, we will be talking to our alumni who have done exceptionally well in their respective fields. So today we have Sanjeev Sharma sir. He completed his BTech from Indian Institute of Technology Roorkee in 2011 from the Department of Electrical Engineering. He then pursued his MS from the University of Alberta in computer sciences. He is founder of and CEO of Swayat Robot and founder of DeepIver. So, welcome, sir. We are honored to have you as a guest on this podcast. Students are very overwhelmed to have you as a guest, and we received plenty of questions, and we would like to mention a few of them today.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Firdaus and Team IT Roorkee for having me over here in this podcast.
So, firstly, at what period you realized that you're not the one behind the desk, like who work from 9 to 5 jobs kind of thing?
I mean, I never had, I never considered, doing a job like since my third semester undergrad. I mean, I started self-study and research, primarily focusing, on robotics, right? And it was very clear, right, when I entered into the second year of undergrad that I won't be going for jobs. And when I was like in my second year, I formulated that I will go for, one of the top 10 PhD programs in the world, right? I mean, to some degree, I can say, okay, I was able to accomplish that. But I mean, it was very clear from the beginning. Like I was interested in robotics. I mean, as you know, like in the first year, like we have college courses. In second semester, I got there's a I think Cognizant is a technical fest event, right? So yeah, so in
Yes.
Cognizant, there's a robotic competition, and like I was interested in robotics, so I participated in that. After that, I realized, okay, fine. I mean, there's a lot to. I mean, there's a lot more to robotics than just like mechanical designing and mechanical engineering. So it was in my summer vacation where I went deep into robotics, which I think we can discuss later as well. But it was very clear from the very beginning that I won't be going for jobs, and I never work for any company for that matter. So yes.
Okay, sir. So, like, sir, you were very focused towards doing all these things like robots and machines, engineering, drawing, as you told. Sir, like, how you managed academics with that? Like, were you very focused on academics, or you just took it lightly, like, let it be? I'll focus on what
Sure.
I want, not keeping
Sure.
academics at par.
Sure. So, like when we enter into college, it's a very tough decision, right? Because like we are clearing J and then we are going to IT is like one of the top institutions in India, right? So like in first semester, I admit I was very focused on academics, like particularly the academic courses. But with after our first mid semester exam, to some degree I had lost interest in it. Not I can say I cannot say that I lost interest in academics, but yes, I realized that there is much more to robotics than the courses that we are studying. And also, I mean, the interest that I had, they were not aligning well with our first year's courses. So the interest in academics kept on declining thereafter, and by the as I mentioned, by second semester I was almost on a full study and self-discovery mode. Even after our first year, right? There's a summer vacation, right? So I stayed in the summer vacation, right? In the campus, right? For roughly like there were like 2.5 some months summer vacation. I stayed like for more than 60% of the summer vacation in the campus, trying to understand like what robotics is all about, right? So as a regular student would do, like I went with electronics and then I discovered microprocessors and MATLAB programming there, then various aspects. In the third semester, that's when the real study actually began. So when I entered my third semester, like our courses in electrical engineering department were very focused in the power systems. So like, and the interest in robotics, they were not aligning. So in third semester, I went into research study mode and I was mostly studying microprocessors, right? So I started with like, 8085 and went all the way up to 486 and 487. These are like, there's a like processor and then numeric co-processor as well. So I studied like 32-bit assembly language, all those things. In parallel, I was also into computer vision and image processing, right? So I was doing the self-study in my third semester, right? And the interest in academic courses has already declined by that point. In my fourth semester, right, when I came across the autonomous driving, right? I mean, so that's when I discovered autonomous driving. After that, there was just no going back. I mean, once I discovered autonomous driving, then figured out, okay, what are all the areas I had to go through. So, machine learning, conversation automation, reinforcement learning, there are like many different, fields of theoretical computer science that I had to go into, in a self-study mode. So I was reading like various books, research papers. I think by the time I finished my undergrad, I had read more than 500 research papers already. I'd invented few of my own algorithms, which later got published. And apart from that, I had read several courses, or you can say books, that are typically learned when you're doing your master's or PhD in theoretical computer science, perhaps abroad, right? So I did that, and as a result, like something had to be compromised. So I had to compromise with my academic, courses, and as a result, I failed in one of the courses in my fifth semester as well. So I couldn't focus on that. So I mean, and like by the time I graduated, my undergrad GPA is like what 6.25 on a scale of 10, right? So I mean, you can know like what I did in academics and what I did otherwise. So this is how I was able to manage both the aspects. But yes, there's a lot of self-study that actually went into it.
Okay,
Yes,
sir.
sir, being so much focused in the beginning of your undergrad program, were you even thinking for means like to learn and explore something through interns? So, have you ever been to some interns and then just chose one over other?
I,
Any
I
choices?
switched. I switched many times. I mean, if you look at first semester, I was doing mechanical design. In my first summer vacation, I was doing MATLAB and microprocessors. In my third semester, I was doing microprocessor and image processing. From fourth semester onward, like there was a lot of iterations, adjustment, and finally I arrived at a point at the beginning of my fourth semester. If I really wanted to go very deep into VLSI and microprocessors and embedded systems, or do I want to go with other route? The other route was mathematical option, which I was just not aware of. Had I been aware of it earlier, I would have chosen that in the second semester itself, right? So the other route was you approach the problem of robotics from mathematics and theoretical computer science perspective. And this is what I did fourth semester onward, right? So once the goal was clear that it is autonomous driving, and autonomous driving robotics is nothing but, you can say just applied mathematics. That is all it is, right? So once that is discovered, right, then I figured out. I mean, even there were a lot of iterations, right? Because before inventing autonomous driving, I was working mostly in computer vision part. But after inventing autonomous driving, I had to select one of the fields, and I chose reinforcement learning and motion planning, right? How do robots learn to behave intelligently in an environment? How they plan their trajectory so that they and the environment can both remain the same, right? So after a lot of iterations, but I was also, in my third semester itself, I did an internship with a company, and that was, there was a DSP pressure. I was writing 32-bit assembly language code as well in my third semester, right? So at that point in time, I did a small internship with, in fact, a company in Roorkee. One of our advisors, arranged a meeting with that company, and like in the winter after third semester, there was a winter vacation. In that winter vacation, I did that internship in numeric writing, assembly language C plus code for a DSP, digital signal processor. After that, after my fourth semester, I never went back into microprocessors. I just completely left the field of embedded systems and electronics at all. So there were a lot of iterations, because when we are students in India in school, we do not know what we want to do, what is the right way to do it, right? And at that point in time, there was no Quora, there was no LinkedIn, and there was no, sort of many online resources. So I had to mostly, self-discover this and, go on my own. But along the way, you coming to your question about internships, I was very well connected with the professors both in India and abroad, mostly abroad, for some of the objectives that I wanted to achieve. I won't name names over here, but any prominent professor that you can think in these prominent areas of computer vision, AI, I have known them, I have contacted them, and they have replied to me. Many had guided to me, they directed their PhD student to guide me because I was showing so much interest. I mean, just to let you know, like in fifth semester, we had a website known as searchingai.com. So I was giving lectures in all these areas that I'm talking about: AI, machine learning, conversation automation, reinforcement learning. So that was very, very different for, even the professors abroad. So they very well appreciated. But yes, I had that, to some degree, I was connected to some of my peers abroad as well, and mostly, PhD students and professors abroad to, further, ascertain that, okay, whatever I was doing was actually going the right direction as well.
Okay, sir. So, interest in machines, robots, and so on might have led you towards for formulating a company and that's all we know about you today. Like, sir,
Okay.
was there something you were very familiar, like you were very sure about it, you would start being an undergraduate student?
Never even crossed the mind, right? I mean, how do you even formulate that? First of all, it's 2009 January. Even Google is not popular in autonomous driving, right? You are just learning about
Yes.
it through the DARPA Urban Challenge. So in fourth semester, I learned about the DARPA Urban Challenge, and I discovered autonomous driving. That's the first thing. Then you discover the areas. Okay, what are the areas through which you can approach this very big problem? So the goal was formulated that it is autonomous driving, but the startup and the company was not. In fact, when I discovered autonomous driving, doing a PhD became a goal of my life. Right before this discovery of autonomous driving, I didn't consider going to top graduate program. Something, I mean, there was some goal of research, but I was not sure whether it was going to be corporate R&D or whether it was going to be academic R&D. But after I learned and real like what real world, when I learned what real world robotics is, that's when I realized, okay, PhD is something I want to do. So I had fixated my goal, as to going into top 10 graduate programs in the world for PhD. So that was my goal, and that's the reason why I never went for any job. In fact, after my bachelor's, so I did my undergrad internship. After third year, you have to do this internship, right? So I did my third year internship at Autonomous Learning Lab in the Autonomous Learning Lab at University of Massachusetts Amherst. So it was in the US, and I was working reinforcement learning. So my internship was also academic. Never applied to a company. After doing my bachelor's, also I was in Israel for roughly a year, where I was a research assistant to a professor. And after that, I went for my master's in Canada. And after that, I did get admitted to PhD, but I got admission to University of Massachusetts Amherst Computer Science PhD for 2014. But I came back to India. I mean, that's a different aspect altogether. I think which we may be able to cover later on in this discussion as well. Why I did that and was the reasoning behind that. But yes, I started company when I came back to India. When I came back to India, that's when I thought, okay, whatever knowledge I gained over the years, whatever experience I've gained over the years, this can be actually formally, applied in the form of a company. And that's when Swayat Robots happened in 2015.
Sir, you might have faced ups and downs in your journey. How you actually cope up with them?
There's like
Kept
too
you
many ups
going.
and downs. I mean, yes. So like, is it pertaining to the academic journey, or is it pertaining to the like post startup journey?
Like, might be, sir, like related to your company, starting it up, building
I
up,
see. I see.
and keeping a
I see.
stronghold, all that.
I see. Sure. So, I mean, as far as so once you like decide on doing something, like I never give up on something very easily, right? You can say that's one of the things that has kept me going. I mean, I started the company in 2015. It took me 6 years to get funded, right? We just got funded 3 weeks ago. I mean, right? So for first 6 years of the company, this was entirely bootstrap company, and as far as so the goal, you have to decide how important the goal is for you, right? So for me, autonomous driving is everything. Like I started. So what happens typically? Like people learn something, or then they work on something, and they decide, okay, this is interesting to them, right? And sometimes, first they learn something and they decide, okay, something is, and then they build up their knowledge on top of it to solve the problem even further. What happened with me is that first I defined the problem statement, and then the learning happened, right? So it's the other way around, right? I didn't have this this motion of going deep into machine learning, going deep into the theory, applied maths. No, first the goal was defined that it has to be autonomous driving. Then I discovered, okay, what are the tools that I need to build for myself, so that I can go and attack the problem and just solve it, right? So then the actual learning, self-learning, everything happened after that. When I started the startup, right? I mean, they're like, I mean, first of all, I mean, this is my decision, right? I chose to give up PhD. I chose to, come to India and do this startup. So there are a lot of decisions that you're making, and to some degree, sometimes you are making, these decisions, knowing, what are the difficulties that you're going to face, but sometimes you just have to go with your gut feelings as well. As far as me is concerned, how do I cope up with ups and downs? Like I try to keep myself motivated, because the problem that I'm solving is very motivating for me. Is one of the life goals that I want to solve. So that is one of the factors. There's one trait that I don't give up easily, even if things turn out hard. So that is maybe also something that has helped me to cope up with the journey, like what are the ups and downs with me. And one of the things is that I do regular meditation, right? and that that also helps you build self-confidence as well. I mean, many times, I mean, I think that it's and also, I mean, whether it is relevant to you or not, but I'm also a very spiritual person as well, right? So, I mean, these are all the factors add up, and then, I just like cope up with anything that happens with me.
So very
Okay.
well, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, Tushar.
Sir,
Yes.
I would like to ask about what is the future pertaining in India about the autonomous driving.
Sure.
So, considering the conditions of uh, the traffic and the roads of India.
I see. So the problem that we are solving is that what we're saying is that the India is the toughest test ground for autonomous driving. So there are three problems like perception, planning, and localization. Perception is all about how to develop algorithms. So the vehicle can perceive its environment, understand its environment via the data received from the sensors, right? Planning is where what the actual crux of autonomous driving is. Once the surrounding map has been built for the vehicle, how does the vehicle decide what behavior, what is speed, what are the control commands, and how is it going to behave in the environment. So that is our entire focus, planning algorithms, right? So it constitutes 70% of the research of the company, right? What we are saying is that we understand that in India, from a business point of view, autonomous driving is like what minimum 5 years trajectory, right? I mean, it's all about, one for first, a company has to prove that is going to be safe in traffic dynamics as complex as in India, right? It's both complex and stochastic at the same time, right? So first is to prove that it's going to be safe for you. Once that is there, then you can start building the market for autonomous driving in India. The market exists in terms of defense sector, right? I mean, in defense, there's a need for autonomous driving, right? But as far as the problem that we are solving is that how do we take the technology, right? How do we develop technology that can work even in the most adversarial of environments imaginable for autonomous driving, right? From a perception algorithms point of view, what we are saying is that Indian environments are one of the world's most unstructured environments to work with. So if we can develop technology that can keep a vehicle safe and its environment safe in this kind of stochastic complex traffic dynamic scenario, and can perceive environments that are as unstructured as the Indian environments. Once we solve the problem, then we are effectively addressing the safety aspects of the technology. Right? If you look at the world at large, autonomous driving is 10 years trajectory. It will take industry 8 years to ensure the autonomous vehicles are going to be safe. We are trying to sort of bridge, shorten that timeline by trying to have this safety aspect done by 2023, 2024. That's our target, right? So we are saying we are going to develop technology that is going to be safe. Once you have the safety solved, you can take the technology and deploy it in the foreign country. Right? In foreign country, traffic is simpler. The traffic dynamics. When I say traffic, I mean there is speed and there's one traffic rules and traffic dynamics. Traffic dynamics is simpler. It's very less. There's very less randomness to it, right? So it's less stochastic in that sense. It's also less complex. So if you can ensure safety in the complexity such as this one, you can definitely ensure it over there. Similarly, if you can perceive, you can have algorithms can have the capacity to develop a contextual understanding of the unstructured environments over here. They can just do all the more better over there. And this is our business proposition, right? Most of our customers, potential customers, in fact, most of our key collaborations are outside India, right? Because first you have to take the technology. If you're talking specifically about on-road autonomous driving, that's when there are other applications like off-road autonomous driving, mining operation, some of the campus driving operation. We're talking to some of the companies as well. And then there's this different sector, right? So there are other, but if you're talking on-road autonomous driving, like in passenger driving vehicles or autonomous trucks, then you're talking, first you have to, the market exists over there. So we are solving the tough problem over here and taking the technology abroad with the potential customer base abroad. This is how we are currently solving autonomous. As far as India is concerned, I think like 4 5 months level we will bring autonomy will not be a challenge in India. It would be a common site, right? So first, because we are in Bhopal, we'll make that happen in Bhopal. I perhaps like at some point we may bring that vehicle to IIT Roorkee as well. That's a separate discussion basically. So yes, I mean it would be a
Sure.
common site in India.
We as students will be waiting for it, sir. Like
Sure.
here, even in IIT Roorkee, the culture is transforming, sir. People are more into machine learning and image processing, deep learning rather than development. Like we as a student community are also moving with the technology. We are
I see.
also looking forward for these particular things. Yes,
That's
sir.
great.
Can you share something like what mistakes you have committed which you would have likely avoid, you would have now you would like to avoid them, like some advice to your younger self, sir, basically.
Sure. Okay, that's much easier. Advice to younger self, because mistakes is hard to answer, right? Because but in the in the abeyance of the knowledge, right, that I have now, if I want to give a steady motivation, dedication, this is all, I mean, these are all, I mean, secondary aspects. If I wanted to give one advice to my younger self, I would say meditate, right? That's the most important aspect that I've discovered in life. Having that covered, there are like many, I mean, there are like, for example, like we learn through iterations as well, but I mean, meditation is something, I mean, I can see its benefit. I mean, I'm talking from very different angle as well, but we will not go into that. So that is number one advice. Second thing is that, there are some of the things that we could have done differently. I mean, when talking about academics, I mean, there was hardly, so I was fixated on this idea, okay, let me present this picture to you, right? I mean, if you are formulating your goal as going to grad school, what's the number one thing that comes to your mind? GRE and GPA, right? That's the number one thing. And if your goal is to get into top PhD programs, that's the number one thing. The GPA, someone will say above 9.5, 9.8, right? My problem was I couldn't compromise with the knowledge. Right? That was my problem, right? That I no matter what happens, even today, like no matter what startup I do very deep. If you look at my both the startups, Deep Tech and Soil, they are very deep tech. They are pure R&D startups. If you look at my undergrad journey, I never compromised with the knowledge. So I had formulated the goal that, okay, I want to get in the top graduate programs, but by that time you can call it foolish or whatever, like over ambitious, whatever, childish, whatever you want to call. But I had fixed the goal that I will not compromise with my knowledge. By the time I finish my undergrad, I should have the knowledge level, the kind of knowledge that a student would have while they're pursuing their PhD at top 10 graduate programs in the world. And that's a very tough ambition. So I had done many things very differently, right? So as far as the mistakes is concerned, I because in life you're going, in one direction, right? I mean, there's no feedback coming in, right? So maybe like some of the things maybe I could have, sort of focus a bit more on my GPA. That could have helped me, go into, top 5 graduate programs. I mean, or maybe I could have focused on some of the other aspects as well. Those are some of the things I can say. As for the startup journey is concerned, I think uh, one of the limitations that we face is that we were present in India, right? And typically investments don't happen in India. They don't happen usually directly unless if an investment happens, it has to be through one of the VC channels that have presence both in the US, the venture arm in India, right? It happens through that. But US to India it's rare, and it's rare when you are working in deep tech, right? And that to an R&D, and that to autonomous driving. And even in that, you are not in commercial space, you are in R&D space, right? You are saying we are not taking the commercial aspect almost trying, we are just deploying whatever else is developed. We are going to beat the other companies, and that's a very hard proposition, right? So maybe like if we, mistakes, or you can say advice to self, maybe we could have taken the company abroad and got it funded much earlier. That is one thing. Other than that, but again, like that's also it's not but again, since you are making a decision that I will do it while staying in India for the time being, right? So it's not a mistake per se. It's your goal that you're formulated that while I get funded, I will be in India. There is a different. I approach the problem in a different manner. Okay, first solve the problem in the toughest of environments possible. Other companies proceed. Okay, first let's get a solution into the market, and then we'll think about the R&D, right? So they are also, because I realized if we keep on doing this commercial aspects first, we've already lost the race of autonomous driving, right? Because there's only 10 to 8 years gap remaining, right? In that, whoever solves the problem is going to be the ultimate winner, right? And if you see, you can take your goal 1 year, 2 year, I need to get 10, $20 million funding for that. I need to show some revenue. Or you can take very long trajectory and you can target for $12 trillion market that is autonomous driving, right? And it's not about money, but I like to think very long term, right? So you can say there are things I do differently. Maybe that those are not the best advisable trajectory for startup founders, but I mean this is me, right? So in terms of advice, I
Yes.
mean I think some of the things different. and focus on some of the aspects maybe which I thought were not relevant, but they turned out to be relevant. But meditation is the one that I can, I mean, since you asked this question, I mean, is the one thing that I can say, yes, for sure. Nothing, everything is secondary.
That's very like bold to hear, like keeping knowledge at par to GPA. Like many of us are focused on GPA. We try to get GPA anyhow, ignoring what we are grasping, what we are digesting. So that's very like
Trade-off.
insightful to
You're,
hear.
yeah. See, it's a trade. For example, like I mean, if you want to go to top PhD program, 9.8 GPA, do a very good internship, do your BTech thesis properly, and probably get it published as well. Do your internship, get it first, second, or third author published. That's well, right? Because you still have 5 years trajectory, right? The problem that I was solving was very different, right? I had to be knowledgeable
Yes.
because it was like, okay, I should be the one who should develop some algorithms that really matter, right? When I was an undergrad student, right? And the challenge I took upon is like you have only one life, right? I cannot, when I'm 40, I cannot come back. Oh, no, no, no. In 20, let's do. No, no. There's only one direction, right? You can go only in one direction. So it's a decision. See, you are a different person. I'm a very different person, right? Everyone is very different, right? So it's about thought process, like how we are made up, how our brain works, what what's the outlook of life, and my sort of whenever I take up something, I don't give up it very easily, right? I define very long goals and very deep goals, right? And once they're defined, then I do everything in my power that is possible to achieve it, right? And this is exactly what I did during my undergrad. I formally goal autonomous driving. I didn't want to compromise with the knowledge. Doesn't matter even if it hurts my chances of getting admitted, right? So it's a very different outlook. I mean, you can call it mistake, you can call it, weird trajectory, but this is what it is. I mean, maybe because of the trajectory that was taken, I'm here today, right?
Sir, since you have changed your field of study from electrical engineering to computer sciences, so what was the biggest transitional issue you have faced when you started at the University of Alberta?
I see. So if you look at my okay, you don't know my track record, so let me explain my track record. So I was an electrical engineering graduate, but I never, as you know, like 6 point GPA says everything. I didn't take the academic courses because my objectives were very different. So my studies had been theoretical computer science oriented. The courses from 4th to 5th semester, I completed 5 different books in machine learning, in some area of theoretical computer science, and some in applied mathematics, right? Numerical optimization, commerce automation. These are all computer science and mathematics courses, right? I think the one of the challenge was that in my transcript, it was all power system and electronics, right? Power electronics courses. So it was very hard to justify it. But I had research papers in my name before even I applied to master's degree program. And my entire research work had been in motion planning and AI. So that is theoretical CS. But I think when I went to University of Alberta, I was asked to take some undergrad courses in computer science. That is the only challenge. Other than that, I never faced any challenge per se, because again I had a background, I had good mathematical background. And when you go for master's, your mathematical background is what matters, not your programming knowledge. I learned programming because I worked on many real world problems. In fact, I learned programming by solving in the startup, that's when I actually started programming C++. But I also did, like during my master's degree program, I had to write a one paper which has nothing to do with my thesis. And for that experiment, I had to convert real world robot, and I converted my code in motion planning algorithm that I developed when I was an undergrad to a C++ code, right? And I was working with one of my advisors, Professor Matt Taylor, who was not part of my thesis. He was a professor at a different university. So the challenge I faced was that I was asked by the university to take 2 additional courses, which I did. So my master degree required me to take 4 courses. I took 6 courses. That's the only thing. Other than that, no other challenge. In terms of admission, you can say, okay, yeah. But after getting there, no, not at all.
Okay, so maybe Tushar is up with another question.
Yes, sir. Sir, though considering the question I am asking is very famous to ask, sir, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Oh my God, 10 years. Okay. See, we want to solve the downside. Yeah. If you're successful, we are going for 25% market cap of industry that is going to be $10 trillion, right? So it's like $2.5 trillion company. But the money doesn't define the problem that we're solving. in 10 years, we would have solved the autonomous driving problem. That's where I see, and that eventually leads to, being commercial success as well. So in 10 years, perhaps I'd be solving one more problem, which is in the space of, aerial robotics, right? Recently, there are many self-driving flying car startups and electric EV, electric flying car startups. I looked at the problem. I formulated this goal long back. Like I would buy a real helicopter and I'll make it autonomous, right? So I need a lot of money for that. So that's where I see myself doing in 10 years.
Sir, your favorite memory associated with IIT Roorkee, sir?
There are a lot. Mostly with friends, right? And like many events. It's but so for example, like I was if again, like if I can be academic, bit academic, right? Then I can say okay, like since my second semester I was looking for academic R&D career, and my from third semester and fourth semester in particular I began very mathematical journey. So in by fifth semester I got my internship approved at Tonslin Lab in the US. And one of the good thing was that my best friend also got his internship in the US, and we were supposed to go on a flight together. So that was we were at airport as well together. So that was also one of the happiest moments that we both had this objective of going only into the US for internship, and we both got it. So that is also one of the happiest moments. Apart from that, like we were doing searching at .com website. So usual days. I started with this with my best friend Pratik Ganchani, who also happens to be electrical engineering graduate. He's my batchmate and best friend as well, right? I did this endeavor with him, and there are some key defining moments, and this is all I can say. But like wasting time with friends, 12 at night, 1 a.m. at night, those are the best moments anyway. So you cannot beat that. Rest of the things are just academic in nature.
Exactly, sir. But those may head forward.
Were you part of any clubs at the college? At
I think,
IITR?
do you guys still call it model section? Like, there's an electronic section. Is it the
Robotics and model section, yes, sir.
yeah, robotics and model section.
Mars, yes, sir. It's named as Mars. Modeling and robotics section.
I see. So I was part of that, and mostly in third semester. That's the only section I was part of. I was a regular, gym goer in my first semester, right? So I was doing weightlifting in first year, right? And sorry, first semester only. After first semester, I just left that and primarily went to robotics. But I was just part of that model section. That is all.
Okay, sir. Sir, if you were to take any college student from IITR as your intern, what qualities he or she should possess, sir?
Ability to read and understand fairly mathematical research papers. If you have that covered, you can be part of a community. The answer can be very broad. Very definitive as well. If you define an area, so if you're defining the area as like related to theoretical CS or mathematics, like if we talk about AI, machine learning, computer vision, deep learning, RL, then we would look for, because at undergrad level we assume, I cannot expect that you would have read 5-6 books in your undergrad and then you're applying. No, definitely not. But you should have an inclination towards mathematics. The more mathematical you are, the better it is. And in fact, if you are pursuing career in research, get mathematical. If you're applying for internship in other sections like electronics, under systems, right? Then again, general knowledge, the ability to solve the concerning problems. Then if you are coming from mechanical engineering aspect, then again we'll look for some mathematical aspects, because the kind of work we are doing even in mechanical engineering, we are testing various aspects of the vehicle, because we want to prove that even with vibrations, they're like in India, there are single lane road trucks come from the other end. The vehicle has to go off roads at very high speeds. At that point in time, there can be significant vibrations in the vehicle, right? How those vibrations affect, some of the, various sensors and devices on the vehicle, and how can we use those vibrations to actually, okay, we are recording this, right? Okay, so I will skip this part. So how are we using those vibrations to solve some data labeling, automatic data labeling problem, and building some data set for RL, right? So this is a very mathematical aspect to it, right? So, we look for mostly mathematical abilities if you are applying in the relevant areas. other areas we consider, like for example, if you're electrical engineering a student or EC student, and if you're applying for embedded electronics, then we look for those expertise, relevant expertise in those areas. As far as program is concerned, like we are not very, as far as undergrad is concerned, unless you're applying for software development internship, then it's a very different aspect. But mostly we are not concerned. But as long as you can write your regular programs in C++ and or Python, that is good enough for us.
Okay, sir.
Having multiple interests, is that a good idea? Like, should we stick to a particular thing or having interest in multiple? Is that okay?
Even in there's always this question, like how do you know that what you're doing is really what you like, right? In my case, just happened so that I went through so many different points and I said this is the final one, right? So having multiple interests, but then like again, like it depends on what objective in life you want to achieve, right? So if your objective is okay, I want to be a well-known roboticist, but you're saying okay, I want to work in 5 different fields, that's not very helpful, right? But again, like having different interests, for example, I can have very deep interest in research and I can have very big interest in sports as well, and I would like to do that regularly as my physical exercise. Very great, right? But you have to define your goal first, right? But as far as I think, if you're talking, if you're talking about it from deep objectives or deep goals, then it's better to start off with multiple ideas, multiple objectives, but then the moment you start going deeper, narrow it down, right? At some point you'll have to decide, right? If you look at my journey, I wanted to go in robotics, but just because I didn't know what I should do to achieve my objectives, I went from all the way from mechanical to microprocessor to electronics to image processing to finally motion planning. And even when I defined motion planning, I realized there's so much mathematical background that has to be covered. So mostly I'm covering the mathematical background to work in motion planning and decision making, right? So you define your goal, and that goal will tell you whether venturing into different ideas is is a good thing or not.
Yes, sir. So considering you are saying meditation as an important factor of your journey. So how did you invest your time in personal growth?
How did I invest my time in personal growth or in personal growth in terms of meditation?
Sir, mainly
Meditation, other than meditation, many things you can consider as a part of personal growth.
Yes, I mean, so as far as meditation, at some point I used to do it. I could do, even 3 hours of meditation, right? So, but I mean, so the goal I have defined, you're dealing with algorithms, numbers, and everything throughout the day, right? I do different kind. I don't do like calm your mind or that. I do very spiritual meditation, right? So there's a very different goal attached to it. I mean, it's not a goal. It's some things that I know which do not make sort of well for this discussion, so I will not go into it, but there are some things I know and I want those things to happen, right? So for that I'm doing very different kind of meditation. Earlier, yes, meditation, I suffered from this headache problem, right? So meditation cured it. I mean, that's a physical benefit if you're talking about. Apart from that, if the physical growth is concerned, so I try to do exercise whenever possible, right? Because if you're fit, then you can do better research. If you're unfit, then that's going to be a problem, right? So other than that, like I also, this person, like most of the work that I'm in, it requires me to be updated with what is happening in the state of the art, right? What is the state of the art, where it is going, and how we can be prepared for it. And it requires me to be mathematical, very, very, very mathematical. Right? Until 2018, the single-handedly developing the prototype, thanks to awesome interns that I have had the chance to work with. I mean, through SWAT, there are 45 interns or so who have graduated, and thanks to everyone else. But from a key algorithmic research point of view, I was a single, sort of lead researcher into the company, and my task was to develop the entire proof concept of the technology, right? Including doing some of the, level 4 and level 5 prototype, algorithmic development, right? And that's where that's the most, I mean, personal growth is all aligned being mathematical, and that's what I do, right? I try to I try to, I wouldn't say I'm an avid reader or something like that. Mostly I stopped reading research papers after 2016, right? Because at some point what happened, like I had to, distance myself from what is happening in the field and to think, I mean, that's where you have to arrive at a point in your life where you know that your thought process sometimes can lead to better results rather than going into reading what other people have done. So from 2016 to 2019, I stopped my habit of reading research papers. I used to develop my own ideas, and this is what I do. So I try to stay updated with the mathematics. I hope it answers the question. Other than that, personal growth here is all about startup company. So personal growth is all tied to some degree with that. Yes. But if there's any other aspect that you want to talk about, definitely I'd be happy to answer that. Definitely, yes.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, we are almost done with every question, and I am up with the very last question, sir.
Sure.
Sir, a single piece of advice for an undergraduate student who is pursuing deep learning, machine learning, and all sort of things.
Don't go shallow, go deep, right? Even if your goal is to get a job in a company, because if you're not mathematical enough, you are replaceable, right? Uh, because here, for the very first time, you're defining the very objective itself, right? It's deep learning, AI, and all these. Right? These fields are emerging, right? I mean, many online courses, online, all these resources will point you, do this library, that. That's good. That's good. As a student, if you're working already for a company, I would say, okay, gather the skills that your job or whatever it requires, right? When you're a student, get mathematical, right? Because you do not know while working this, are you sure that you want to do a job, or are you sure that you want to do research, or are you sure that you want to do your start? You don't know any of these things. These things will happen once you have graduated, right? So unless your goal is to do a startup right away when you're in second year or third year, that's a very different thing that we're talking about, right? Then learn things that are relevant to your startup, right? But if that is not the goal, you want to wait for some time being, undergrad is the best period of your life to open up your brain, right? By learning mathematics. So let's suppose you want to run machine learning, right? You can read a tutorial on the internet, or you can go with CM Bishop or mathematical automation, some of the books, right? What will that book do? Will it bring you to the state of the art? No. Will it make you awesome researcher? No. That is going to open up your brain to deal with much. When you prepare for JEE to get into ITs, what you're doing is that you're opening up your brain to deal with the harder problems. That is all what you're doing. This is what all undergrad should be about. If you are interested into these areas, if you're interested into sports, other aspects, do that, whatever your goal is. But if this is your goal, this is the right time. This is the best time, because you have the protection of the university. You are a student. You don't have to be worried about anything else. You can just focus on, being the best you can be. Try to open up your brain by getting as mathematical as possible, because the areas you're talking about, these are nothing but applied mathematics. If you look at where the modern research is going, let's suppose if I want to develop some motion planning algorithm, gone are the days where you can hold expertise in mathematical optimization or control systems or some form of some one particular area, and you think, okay, I will just keep on developing algorithms, iterating to those. No, the current industry is moving very fast. They will require you to assemble your knowledge from 5 different fields of mathematics, right? Put them together and then formulate a problem, formulate a solution for the problem, and be prepared for it. That would be my advice.
So I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for sharing your invaluable experience on your journey, sir. I hope
Thanks.
students will find it very motivating and insightful. I appreciate the fact that you covered each and every point right, and yes, you motivated me and definitely Somil and Firdos uh, to just move forward with our endeavors. Thank you, sir.
Uh, Thank you so much for having me here. It was pleasure talking to all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
That is
sir.
really very
Sure.
nice. Now I guess I should stop the recording, sir.
Sure.